Have you ever had the feeling that a woman looks at you differently, but you're not exactly sure what it means? Maybe she holds eye contact with you a little longer than usual, or her laugh sounds more real, more relaxed when you're around. There's something in the way she carries herself near you, something subtle, but you can't quite figure out if it means anything. And then, right when you try to be sure, that uncertainty creeps in. You start overthinking. Is she into you? Or is your mind just making it up? If you've ever been in that situation, you're not alone. The truth is, attraction isn't always obvious. Most women don't say it out loud. They don't confess it. They show it without realizing they're doing it. They show it through small signs, things you'd miss if you're not paying attention. It's not about words or dramatic gestures. It's in the way she moves when you're near, the way her voice changes ever so slightly when she speaks to you, or how her energy shifts when you enter the room. These signs are silent, but powerful. And the craziest part? They're happening all the time, right in front of you. But most guys don't see them. Think back. Have you ever been around a woman and felt like there was something in the air, a kind of tension? Like both of you knew something was happening, but neither of you said a word about it? That wasn't a coincidence. That wasn't just chemistry. It was something deeper. A silent communication between your subconscious minds. And here's where it gets real. This isn't just instinct. It's backed by science. Neil Strauss, one of the top experts in social dynamics and attraction, has spent years studying how men and women show interest, often without realizing it. And there's a key fact you need to know. According to studies on human behavior, 93% of communication has nothing to do with the words we say. It's about how we say them, the tone, the body language, the energy. That's where the truth is. And that means a woman can feel real attraction for you, while still acting like everything's normal. Unless you know what to look for, you'll miss it. Just like most men do. Here's something else to consider. If a woman really likes you, she's not going to make it obvious, especially if she's afraid of rejection, or if she's still trying to figure out how you feel about her. So, what does she do instead? She sends subtle signals, tiny cues, clues that most guys ignore because they don't even know they're there. But once you learn to recognize those signs, everything changes. You'll start to notice who's truly interested in you, and who's just being polite. You'll pick up on things other men miss, and today I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to show you the 5 secret signs a woman gives off when she likes you, even if she never says it out loud. These signs work in any situation. It doesn't matter if you just met her, or if you've known her for a while. Once you see the pattern, it's impossible to unsee it. But before we dive into those 5 signs, there's something else you need to understand. Attraction doesn't always make people act logically. In fact, women often act the opposite of what they feel. Some will get shy and quiet, others will get loud and playful, some will want to touch you, others will pull back. But behind all that, behind every nervous laugh, every glance, every sudden silence, there are patterns. Patterns that don't lie, and that's exactly what we're going to decode. So stay with me, because in the next part, we're going to start with the first signal, her eyes. You see, no matter how much a woman tries to hide how she feels, her eyes always tell the truth. Now it's important to separate real signs of attraction from casual eye contact. Just because someone holds your gaze doesn't always mean they're into you. If a woman stares at you for a long moment, but without any hint of nervousness or emotional tension, it could just be her normal way of looking at people. Or maybe it's even a challenge, not a sign of interest. But here's what you need to look for. When someone looks at you, their pupils dilate, and then they quickly look away the moment you lock eyes with them. That's not random. That's not a coincidence. That's a clear signal of attraction. The best seducers in the world know how to read these signs without making it obvious. It's not about staring at someone like a creep trying to analyze their pupils. It's about developing a natural awareness, a kind of instinct that helps you notice these micro-signals in real time. It's an art, and like any art, it takes practice. But once you start seeing it, you won't be able to unsee it. And here's the best part. Eyes don't just reveal attraction, they can trigger it too. In the next part, we're going to talk about something just as powerful, proximity. How close someone chooses to be to you says more than you might think. Because when a woman is truly attracted to you, her body unconsciously tries to move closer, even if her words say nothing. The body has its own language, one that speaks even when the mouth stays silent. And just like the eyes can reveal hidden feelings, proximity can confirm them. When someone feels a real connection, their most natural instinct is to close the distance. Not in an aggressive or obvious way, but in small, almost invisible steps. If you don't know what to look for, you might miss them. That's why you need to understand something called the attraction bubble. We all have a personal space, a kind of invisible bubble that surrounds our body. When someone crosses that space without our permission, it usually feels uncomfortable, unless we want them close. If you like someone, you want them in that space. You lean in. You look for excuses to get closer without making it awkward. That's where the magic happens. So here's the key. When a woman is into you, her body finds natural, smooth ways to step into your personal space. She won't do it suddenly. She won't make it weird. She'll wait for the right moment, like during a deep conversation or a quiet laugh, and she'll close the gap slowly. Maybe her shoulder starts leaning toward yours. Maybe you started out sitting a comfortable distance apart, but now her body is tilted just a little closer. Or maybe, as she speaks, she lowers her voice just enough that you have to lean in to hear her. It might look like nothing, but it's not. You'll also notice this kind of closeness in group settings. Let's say you're with friends and she chooses to sit right next to you, even though there were plenty of other spots available. Or maybe you're at a bar, and instead of taking an empty space further away, she slides in right beside you. She might rest her hand on the table just a few inches from yours, or casually touch an object that's clearly in your space. These might seem like minor things, but when you add them up, they paint a very clear picture. Now, there's a big difference between intentional proximity and random closeness. If someone invades your space suddenly, or without any previous signs of interest, it could just be habit, or even disrespect. But if you notice a progressive shift, if it happens in moments when the energy between you two feels stronger, or if it's paired with a smile or a glance, then you're seeing a real sign of attraction. Experts in seduction, like Strauss, have studied these patterns for years, and they know physical closeness is one of the strongest tools for building tension and connection. But it's not just about touch or sitting next to someone. It's about knowing when that person is ready for closeness. And once you start noticing it, you'll realize that her body speaks louder than her words. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Because if a woman starts moving closer to you, chances are she's also showing you another powerful sign. It's called the mirror effect. When someone's attracted to you, they begin to unconsciously copy your movements, your gestures, even your tone of voice. Let's say you're in a conversation, and at some point, you cross your arms. A few seconds later, she does the same. Or maybe you take a sip from your drink, and right after, she takes a sip too. It might seem like coincidence, but it's not. It's one of the most primal signs of attraction. The mirror effect is deeply wired into our social nature. As human beings, we're programmed to connect with people we like. And one of the strongest, most natural ways we show that connection, without even realizing it, is by reflecting their body language. So if you want to know whether someone's into you, you don't need to hear them say it. Just watch how they act when you move, when you shift, when you speak. Because the body always tells the truth. And in the next part, I'll show you exactly how to recognize that mirroring and how to use it to build instant connection without ever needing to say a word. Think back to a moment when you were with someone and felt completely in sync. Maybe you didn't notice it at the time, but your body probably started to mirror theirs. You used similar words, matched their rhythm of speech, or even changed your posture to subtly resemble theirs. And no, that's not some conscious strategy. That's your brain saying, I like this person, I want to connect. This isn't about manipulation or games. It's about instinct. Attraction runs deep, and the mirror effect is one of the clearest signs of subconscious connection. So how can you tell if someone's reflecting you? It's easier than you think. Try this simple test. First, shift your posture in a subtle way. Maybe cross your leg, rest your elbow on the table, or lean slightly back. Then watch. If the other person makes a similar move within a few seconds, they're mirroring you. Second, do something small, like touch your hair, adjust your watch, or rest your chin on your hand. If they repeat the gesture, even slightly, that's another strong sign of subconscious alignment. Third, change the tone or pace of your voice. If they begin to match your rhythm or energy, that's not coincidence. It's connection. That's not coincidence. It's connection. Some of the most compelling stories in seduction are full of this. In one of his books, Neil Strauss talks about how advanced seducers in social circles are trained to detect mirroring and use it to their advantage, not to manipulate, but to build deeper rapport. It's not about copying someone in a robotic or obvious way. It's about noticing when the connection becomes so natural that your body and theirs start to echo each other without thinking. Imagine you're on a date. You shift in your seat, and a few seconds later, she shifts in the same direction. You lower your voice, and suddenly, her voice follows yours into that same lower, more intimate tone. These aren't random. They're real. They're signs that the two of you are syncing up, emotionally and physically. But here's the wildest part. People don't just mimic those they're attracted to. They actually start feeling more attracted to the people who mirror them. That's why mutual reflection is so powerful. If you've ever felt an instant comfort or trust with someone, it's probably because both of you were subconsciously syncing in real time. But that's not where it ends, because sometimes, when attraction gets intense, people don't just mirror. Their body starts reacting in ways they can't control. And often those reactions show up as the opposite of what you'd expect. Now let's talk about one of the most misunderstood signs of attraction. When someone acts weird around you. You've probably experienced this. Someone seems into you one moment, and then suddenly goes cold or awkward. Maybe in a group, they're outgoing, confident, fun. But the moment you two are alone, they freeze, they look away, they barely speak, and you're left thinking, did I do something wrong? Did I say something? Or, do they actually like me? Here's the truth most guys don't realize. Attraction doesn't always show up as flirting or charm. Sometimes it triggers anxiety. When someone is drawn to you on a deep level, their nervous system kicks in, and their body starts acting out. Not because they don't like you, but because they do. Instead of leaning in, they shut down. Instead of being confident, they become clumsy, stiff, or distant. And it's not because they're playing hard to get, it's because they're overwhelmed. This is especially true for women who are more reserved or have been hurt before. When attraction hits them, they don't know how to handle it. So their instinct is to pull back, protect themselves, and act like they don't care, even when the truth is the complete opposite. So how do you know if someone's acting distant because they're just shy, or because they're attracted to you? Here are 5 things to watch for. First, erratic behavior. If she seems distracted or cold at first, but then randomly laughs at something you said, even if it wasn't that funny, or if she's quiet around you but lively with others, that inconsistency could be a reaction to nervous attraction. Second, repetitive or fidgety body language. If she's constantly touching her hair, adjusting her clothes, playing with something in her hands, or crossing and uncrossing her legs, it's her body trying to release nervous energy. Third, short or awkward replies. If someone likes you but is nervous, they might speak less. Their answers might be clipped, hesitant, or even a bit confusing. Not because they don't want to talk, but because they're overthinking everything. Fourth, avoiding eye contact, but only with you. This one is big. If she looks everyone else in the eyes but avoids yours, or holds your gaze only for a second before turning away, it's likely because she feels pressure to impress you and is afraid of revealing too much. And fifth, a cold or indifferent attitude that doesn't match her personality. If someone is naturally distant with everyone, it means nothing. But if she's warm and relaxed with others and suddenly acts stiff or distant with you, it might be because you make her feel something she's not ready to admit. That kind of behavior is a sign that something is definitely affecting them. But now comes the real question. How can you tell if it's truly attraction, or if they're just nervous for some other reason? The answer lies in context and repetition. If someone seems nervous only when they're around you, but in other situations they're relaxed, even subtly trying to get your attention, then odds are attraction is at play. One of the most fascinating things about attraction is how it creates contradiction. When someone feels drawn to you but doesn't know how to manage their emotions, their words and their energy don't match. What they say and what they show are 2 different stories. And that brings us to one of the most revealing signs of all, when their tone and body language completely contradict what they're saying. Words can lie, but the tone, the body, never does. A person can say something that sounds neutral or even cold, but if you really listen, if you pay attention to the way they say it, you'll hear a different truth. When someone's attracted to you, their voice changes. The pace, the rhythm, the breath between their words, it all shifts, whether they realize it or not. Imagine this. Someone says, "Oh, that's interesting," but they say it with a soft smile, a slight pause, and a tone that feels warmer than usual. Now imagine the same words said dry, flat, and emotionless. Same sentence, completely different meaning. The difference isn't in the words, it's in the energy behind them. When someone's into you, their voice usually gives it away. One sign is tone variation. A woman who's drawn to you might naturally lower her voice to make it softer, more intimate. Men, on the other hand, might unconsciously deepen their tone when speaking to someone they like. It's a primal instinct. Another sign is unexpected pauses, that slight hesitation before responding, as if they're carefully choosing their words or caught off guard by the way you make them feel. Then there's speech rhythm. Sometimes attraction makes someone talk faster, out of nervous excitement. Other times, they slow down to create tension, intimacy, or mystery. But here's where things get really interesting. Attraction doesn't always show up in obvious flirting. Sometimes it hides in playful language, little teases, disguised compliments, or subtle double meanings. Think about lines like, "I don't know why, but I always end up smiling when I talk to you," or "You're dangerous, I probably shouldn't be here," or "I need to stop talking to you before I get too used to it." On the surface, those might sound like harmless jokes. But they're not. They're testing the waters. These kinds of lines are used to express interest without fully admitting it, to create tension while keeping a layer of safety. They're a quiet form of flirtation, meant to spark something without risking rejection. You'll often notice a clear contradiction in these moments. Someone might say something casual or even distant, but their body tells a completely different story. They hold eye contact a little too long. They smile while speaking. They play with their hair, adjust their clothes, or lean in just a little closer. Their words might say, "I'm not sure," but their energy says, "I feel something." So how can you tell if this is genuine attraction, or just someone who's naturally friendly and charming? Simple. Watch for two things: frequency and exclusivity. If they act like this with everyone, it's probably just who they are. But if this behavior shows up mostly around you, if the changes in tone, glances, and playful comments seem to happen only when you're there, then yeah, there's something more. Now that you've learned this final sign, there's one more thing you need to understand. Noticing these signals isn't enough if you don't know how to respond to them. That's why in the next part, we'll break down exactly how to use these signs to your advantage without messing it up. You'll learn how to react in a way that feels natural, confident, and real. You'll also learn what mistakes to avoid, so the attraction between you and that person flows without pressure or awkwardness. At this point, you've discovered the 5 secret signals someone gives off when they're into you, even if they never say it out loud. You've learned how their eyes can reveal hidden feelings, how proximity becomes a silent language, how the mirror effect builds a deep unconscious bond, why some people act strange when they're attracted to you, and how words can completely contradict body language and tone. You've seen how all of this connects, but here's the most important part. Noticing the signs isn't enough. It's not just about knowing if someone is into you, it's about what you do with that information. You can be an expert at spotting attraction, but if you don't know how to respond, you could miss out on a real opportunity, or worse, ruin the moment with a single wrong move. One of the biggest mistakes guys make is trying to force the situation. They see the signs, get excited, and push things too fast. They ask for confirmation too soon or try to turn subtle energy into something explicit before it's ready. And that kills the moment. Attraction isn't an exact science. Someone might show 3 or 4 of these signals and still not be ready to move forward. Timing matters. Presence matters. Another mistake is assuming that one sign is all it takes. The key is the pattern. If you only notice one isolated signal, maybe a glance or a smile, it could mean nothing. But if you see multiple signs stacked together, prolonged eye contact, physical closeness, mirroring your gestures, that's a much stronger indication that something real is happening. But the biggest mistake of all, ignoring reciprocity. Attraction isn't a monologue, it's a dialogue. It's not about observing someone like a scientist, breaking down every signal as if you're reading a manual. It's about connecting. If someone steps closer to you, don't pull away. If someone matches your movements, flow with that rhythm. If their voice softens or they tease you with playful, loaded comments, don't freeze up analyzing it. Respond with the same energy. Trust the vibe, keep it natural, let it unfold. Because in the end, attraction isn't about uncovering hidden secrets in others. It's about becoming more aware of the subtle interactions happening around you and being present enough to respond to them. So here's your challenge. The next time you're talking to someone you're attracted to, pay attention. Watch their eyes, their posture, their tone. Notice if they move closer, if they mirror your gestures, if they play with their hair or touch something near you, if they drop a joke that feels like it means more than it says. And most of all, don't be afraid to play along. Don't be afraid to push the energy a little further and see where it leads. You might be surprised by what you discover.